Okay,
Yeah.
so they're going to put out a platform. He said he's going to have a very simplified 5-point platform, so we'll give them the benefit of putting that out there, and then, you know, I trust it'll be costed, and then we can take a closer look at it. On the party side, just yesterday, a couple of things happened, both from the Liberal perspective and from the PC perspective. And we're going to talk about the Liberal side and the government in just a couple of minutes, but you'll recall that when Patrick Brown resigned and Vic Fideli became interim leader, that he overturned a couple of nomination meetings that had been hotly contested, and the people were complaining about the outcome. Just yesterday, the party overturned either 3 or 4 more nomination meetings, and also, interestingly, that an announcement went out from the president of the PC Party that Patrick Brown would not be allowed to stand for election as the MPP in Barrie, where he was elected from. I caught this last night, and immediately on social media, some of the journalists and columnists who cover Ontario were saying, geez, that's weird. The party had said it would be okay for him to re-enter the leadership race, which ultimately he decided to pull out. He wasn't removed from it. So it was okay to run for leader, but not okay to stand for election in one riding as an MPP. As someone who's an MPP as well, what do you make of that? How do we interpret that? I mean, clearly I guess it was the leader that didn't want him, but it was the party president that put the statement out. How do we interpret this series of events yesterday?
Well, I think again it speaks to the chaos and the lack of organizational harmony or unity that exists within Ontario's Conservative Party. And we talked about this a few minutes ago, the way that they were plunged into a leadership process, the fact that they've gone through a very compressed timeline for their leadership selection, and ultimately their choice of going with Doug Ford. We've seen that they are not a unified party, and I know that they're saying they are, but clearly, and frankly, interim leader Vic Fideli is also the person who, in the first few days on the job, went out there into the public domain and said it's up to him to root out the rot. I mean, that's actually a stunning indictment when you think about it, for a political leader to say, someone who's served in that caucus for a number of years now, and someone who's obviously seen as a bit of a leader in that caucus because he was appointed by caucus as their interim leader, that when looking at the party itself, there's obviously a lot of rot that has to be dealt with. And now we see the other kind of shoe drops on this one, redoing nomination meetings. Now, as you pointed out, telling their former leader, who was then again approved to run for leader, that he's no longer qualified or wanted as a candidate in Barrie. All of this, to me, speaks to the kind of, to an organization that's in crisis. And again, I said a second ago, when you're running to be Premier of Ontario, when you're a team, when you're a political party that aspires to govern, and then ultimately you want to be responsible for our healthcare, for fighting climate change and protecting our environment, for our public education system, for investing in the kind of transit and transportation that we need in this province. We're building it and we need it. You have to know how to organize yourselves. If you ultimately can't be organized within your own party, how in the world can the people of Ontario expect that you're going to have the wherewithal, the organizational capacity and wherewithal to govern the province? A province that is, as you pointed out, on an annual basis, about $140 billion a year enterprise. And to me, it makes it abundantly clear that they're not ready for prime time, that they continue to have an awful lot of trouble within their own ranks, and the people of this province deserve better.